I mean, Alan, in general terms, always, but thank you very much for the offer.
Well, I need that help too, so we're right there in the same boat.
Thank you.
Nikki, are all the members in? Parmgo? Okay, we're good, Alan. And Mr. Chair, as soon as it's 3 o'clock, you can read your chairman's script. You're on mute, Mr. Chair. Unmute.
Kathy usually does that. I think I see her. Hi, Kathy.
Hello, I've got it.
Thank you,
been
Kathy.
practicing script?
Wiley, I think you called in on a phone again. We need to get you a webcam. Lacey, do you know Wiley's phone number?
Yes, let me get that for you.
His camera's not working very well either.
Francis, it's 297-2685.
Okay, he's coming up now on video and a phone. So very good. Wiley, can we test your audio?
You're muted.
You will need to press *6 to unmute.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello.
Thank you, Wiley.
Hear you.
All right. Thank you.
Francis, are we good to go from a timing standpoint by your clock?
It is 3 o'clock.
Yes. Yes, we're good to go.
We're getting, here we go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the August meeting of the Oklahoma Investment Trust. Before we call the meeting to order, I'd like to welcome you and turn it over to Kathy O'Connor, who will read some instructions for us. So Kathy, if you would, please.
Thank you. Trustees, secretary, and municipal counselor, please remain unmuted during the meeting. Other participants and staff are to remain on mute until recognized by the chairman or the manager. If you are calling into the meeting, mute and unmute your phone using *6. If the video conference is disconnected at any time during the meeting shall be stopped and reconvened once the connection is restored. If communication is unable to be restored within 15 minutes and communications cannot be restored, the meeting will reconvene on August 18th, 2020 at 5 p.m. Anyone wishing to speak about an item or to be included in the citizens to be heard portion at the end of the meeting should call 405-297-2245 or text 405-219-7987 or email cityclerk@okc.gov. Please submit your request now to avoid receipt of your request after the item has been considered. The agenda and attachments are available online at okc.gov.
Thank you, Kathy. I'd like to call the meeting to order at this time. First item is approve the minutes of the August 4th, 2020 Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. We have a motion and a second.
I'm trying to second it.
Yeah, it's still spinning. Gotta wait till it's through spinning.
Uh-oh. It's already saying it's approved.
That's the motion that it be approved.
Gotcha.
Cast your votes.
Aye.
There's no button.
You may try pressing escape on your keyboard to see the voting buttons.
Or just Google to your Chrome button.
Since when did we need to go to the Chrome button?
Well, you can toggle back and forth between Zoom and PrimeGov by doing that on the bottom of your screen. You don't have to. That's one way.
Mr. Chairman, I'll vote aye.
Oh, there they go. Very good. It is approved. Thank you. Next on the agenda, OCEDT claim. Cast your votes.
Aye.
And the claims have been so ratified. Next up on our agenda is items that require individual attention. Kathy, if you would, read them one, talking about the allocation of the general obligation limited tax proceeds for a Sky Dweller, whether they're at in an office in downtown or whether they're at office somewhere in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, the item before you is a joint resolution approving an allocation of general obligation limited tax proceeds and or investment proceeds in an amount of up to $275,000 to Sky Dweller Aero Inc. in exchange for locating their headquarters facility in Oklahoma City. We have John Parks with us today from the company who will give a brief presentation about the company and the project.
Thank you, Kathy. Welcome, sir, to Oklahoma City, and we're looking forward to hearing what you got to share with us.
John, are you there?
Kathy, this is Francis. I don't see a John Parks on the panelist list. Lacey,
I
you know
don't.
where
John Parks is here. It's John JD.
Okay, can you introduce yourself again and maybe are you planning to provide the presentation?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, no, appreciate everyone's time today and meeting, albeit over video. We would have loved to be there in person, but appreciate the opportunity to present in front of you all. So yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm John Parks, one of the two co-founders of Sky Dweller Aero. Sky Dweller is a U.S. company, and in fact, if you want to go to the next slide, Schedule is a U.S. company that was started a little over a year ago. And we closed a venture capital round, a $32 million venture capital round this past September. And since then, we've been operating. We've hired over 100 people, largely in Madrid, Spain, but we're a U.S. company, primarily supporting the defense and intelligence community market. And we're building this large solar-powered aircraft. And so we recently have won some work, and we'd like to establish our U.S. headquarters. This past year, we started a process and brought on an advisory group where we ran a process across a variety of different states and evaluated their fit for our company, both from an economic perspective, from a talent pool, from incentives, and looked across all of those factors. And as you all are aware, we selected Oklahoma as the state that we would like to set up in. And so, we're looking to bring on a significant engineering talent pool, as well as some technicians and staff and some executive leadership, and bring them into Oklahoma and set up our global headquarters, as well as our U.S. headquarters here in Oklahoma. So next slide. So as I mentioned, we did a full evaluation of a variety of different states, and really Oklahoma was just a great fit. I mean, we got to spend some time with a lot of the local community members and the state level representatives, from the governor's office to your senators and congressmen and women, and really decided that Oklahoma was just the best fit for us. We believe that we'll have a significant presence in Oklahoma long term with hundreds and hundreds of jobs, but I think in the near term we really see 70 to 80 jobs in a major metropolitan area within Oklahoma, and then a flight test facility, and we're currently looking at Ardmore, Oklahoma, to have another 45 to 60 jobs. Next slide. So we are a technology company at our core. Our people are our differentiator, and that's cliche for a lot of companies, but really we need the best talent, because we're doing something very hard to build this aircraft, and it's really going to kind of change aerospace. And so we need the best talent that we can get. And so we have a pretty high average salary of 87,000 predicted for the region. I think we'll have salaries on the order of 50,000 up to $200,000 plus. But we see, the average kind of coming in at 87,000. And we think conservatively it's 75,000 jobs over the next 5 years. And because we're trying to attract talent, we have a great benefits package. We do a 401k match. We have phenomenal insurance packages, full dental, vision, life, disability, etc., for every employee in the company. On top of that, we foresee that we're going to need to build some capital infrastructure wherever we go. So not just from an IT perspective, which will be significant of almost $400,000, but also we'll build out some lab space and some other potential secure facilities and things like that could total to be a couple $100,000 more. Next slide. So this is important to us, and actually, one of the major parts of selecting Oklahoma was, how we can be a part of the community there, and actually our CTO is I think providing a presentation to some engineering students at Oral Roberts today, actually. But we're very active in the community already, and been engaging with OSU, OU to look at what areas where we can partner. From the National Weather Center to some of the engineering groups within those universities. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to engage with both the local community and with the professional community in the area. Next slide. So here's just some background pictures of the aircraft. So on the top left, you have the aircraft in its current state as it flew around the world. and then we purchased the aircraft after. And then on the bottom right, you have what will be our first article product of that. So I think that's the end of the briefing materials, but I'll just hit on some other points. So, so as I mentioned, we're a venture-backed company. We have a wide set of professional investors behind the company. So we have, Fortune 500 companies such as Leonardo Aerospace and many Fortune 5000 companies who are our key investors in this. And so, we're pretty well funded and financed for the next few years to build this aircraft system. And recently, we can't announce too much publicly, but we've been given a large award by a customer to bring this aircraft to a certain market. And so we will be working with them and hopefully in Oklahoma City to complete this aircraft and get it flying and meet some emerging market needs. But the partner, Robert Miller, I don't know if he's on, but Robert is an Okie by birth, and he grew up in Norman and left to go to Stanford, and we actually started another defense company together now that's pretty sizable, and then we couldn't help ourselves and started another company. But he's excited to come home to Oklahoma, and we're really looking forward to being part of the state and hopefully a better part of Oklahoma City. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Trustee, do you have any questions for John?
I would like to make a couple of additional comments. The way that we structured this incentive was that if the company chooses to locate in downtown or in the Innovation District, they could receive up to $275,000. If they choose a location elsewhere in Oklahoma City, that amount will drop down to $215,000. So, just to recap, it's 75 new jobs over the next 5 years. The average third-year wage is $87,500. And we look forward to having them in Oklahoma City.
Thank you.
Kathy, I have a question for you.
Sure.
What makes those jobs less valuable if they're located in Ward 4, say out around Tinker Air Force Base or something like that?
Well, it was more of an attempt to try to address an excess supply of office space in downtown Oklahoma City, and recognizing that because in downtown you have to park in a garage, it's more expensive for companies to locate in downtown than it is in other parts of Oklahoma City. It was really just to provide the company with a little bit of incentive to offset those additional parking costs.
Thanks.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other comments or questions from the trustees? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to instruct the general manager to negotiate an economic development agreement with Sky Dweller and to bring that back for our approval and to forward it on for city council concurrence. Cast your votes. And it is approved. Thank you, John, for coming. Thank you for having your partner move back into Oklahoma, and we look forward to many years of relationships with you as you move down the road.
Thank you. Likewise.
Next up is the Oklahoma City Economic Development Foundation fourth quarter report. Jeff, are you going to do that, or is you?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Can you hear me okay? And then I don't know if you can start, Lacey's going to start the video here. So just to kind of do a quick recap, go ahead and Lacey, kick to the next slide. I think, so this kind of falls in the line with the ancient Chinese curse of may you live in interesting times, is trying to, do good work with economic development while we while we deal with a lot of other changing circumstances. But the good news is we continue to win good projects. This slide is year-to-date 2020 through the end of June, but does not take into account the recent closure of the Costco project that this trust considered, and obviously Sky Dweller and a few other projects. So these numbers will change dramatically in the next several months, but continue to have new recruitment projects, new expansion projects, and capital investment in the marketplace, and that the pipeline continues to stay pretty strong. Go ahead and go to the next slide. A big part of our work during that second quarter, as everyone on this call knows, and many of you participated in, was COVID-related responses. The partnership with the Alliance and the city to stand up phase 1 of the Small Business Continuity Program, which obviously has moved into phase 2. Significant outreach to existing companies during the COVID period. A lot of our work was focused on, helping existing small businesses connect with resources, and then helping those primary businesses connect to larger resources as well, whether that was helping with federal SBA loans, connecting with Small Business Continuity Program, or just overall connectivity that they needed. We really shifted our work to just provide COVID-related responses. On the community level, 2 things that were significant for us was standing up a specific campaign related to basically shopping local in our local districts, creating some specific collateral that our local districts could use to market themselves as a place to go and do local shopping while there was all the other businesses disruptions taking place. And we also partnered with the state Department of Commerce to create a statewide matchmaking tool where suppliers and manufacturers of PPE nationwide could source their PPE to a local need. So that was a statewide portal that we helped create and engineer behind the scenes, and it's been very successful. There's, I think, at last count, there was like 85 or 90 companies on there, maybe, and I think it's growing.
Jeff, do you have any performance metrics of the stand tall, shop small?
I don't, and I will say on that one, I hate to say this, it timed. We launched it the Friday before all the others, all the other things happened around downtown. So the timing wasn't probably as good as it. Timing wasn't great. There was a lot of other things going on in the community at that time. I don't know how we're going to continue that campaign, or if we're going to need to relook at that. I don't have any metrics, but I can see if I can find some.
Okay, thank you.
It was intended to run the entirety of June. I can tell you that. Some other work that's future work is we've talked about a lot here. What is the future of making sure we have the right talent in the marketplace? We launched a new pilot program we're really excited about with Millwood High School and Metro Tech to bring in a third-party coding program out of Albuquerque that focuses on non-traditional youth that need coding skills, and they've stood that program up to train, I think, 30 programmers in coding skills, and that is serving as a pilot program to see if we expand that program out larger in Oklahoma City moving forward. And the same with a program that Kathy's involved in with the National League of Cities to establish some additional new micro-lending programs. So excited about these really community level works that really tie into, are we helping communities across populations in Oklahoma City have opportunities and not just pulling up, the average wage by creating more Boeing jobs and creating more of the Sky Dweller type jobs, but creating more skills across the market. So excited about the launch of those 2 initiatives. And then the final thing I'll mention is on this slide is the new back office collateral. We've talked a lot about that. We see a lot of new opportunities in that space and have built some new website and new web and white papers and other collateral to really tell Oklahoma City's story, particularly as you see national trends related to people and company moving away from the coast and actively looking at new markets to locate in. Finally, I asked Eric to put together a quick slide to talk about just current economic stats. We have dropped back down to the 3rd lowest unemployment rate in the country, but that doesn't mean there's still not a lot of people who've been displaced and are still looking for work. So, opportunities to create new jobs in our market and do matchmaking is still vitally important. We've also seen, I thought this was an interesting statistic, a lot of new businesses start during the COVID period. Over 4,400 new businesses started in the last 4 months. And I don't have a lot of analytics around that, but I thought that was an interesting statistic that even as people are displaced, we're still seeing new companies launch. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys. And I think that's my recap. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff?
Mr. Chairman, if I might.
Right ahead, sir.
Jeff, I've appreciated that the chamber has been reaching out to its members with a series of questionnaires specific to COVID-19, business interruption, testing, and all the rest. I'm just curious, what have you been able to do on behalf of those members, or perhaps on behalf of the city, with that information?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is feed that information onto our partners. You know, as you've seen those questionnaires, it's tried to be pretty just in time as far as the information that we're asking, whether it's, you know, how long of a financial runway do you have? That's been a constant question. Where are you at in your life cycle of business sustainability? Feeding that information back to partners that are building programming out. And then, you know, also using that information to provide guidance on a more policy level decision making about, you know, is there comfort with assembly and gathering at places of business? How are people enforcing certain rules that have been created? What sort of communication strategy do we need to be using with the business community to make sure they understand policy decisions that impact them? So a lot of it's just been gathering and using that information for other discussions that we have with other partners in the community.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, one more question. Yeah, can you elaborate, and I hope I'm not the only one that is not up to speed on some of this, but the back office shared services opportunity for us, can you describe that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So as we look at Oklahoma City's positioning in the national market and with national trends related to where economics are headed, Oklahoma City has continued to be primed for new mid-size office opportunities, you know, and regional headquarters opportunities. And you've seen this kind of work continue to come to us for consideration. I would use the example of Costco, you know, companies that are looking at pressures in traditional headquarters markets and saying, I want to offload a portion of my work out of this high cost market. Where can I put it where I still feel like I'm tying into the culture that I've created as a company, but I want to be more cost sensitive. And so we're seeing more and more of that type of workload look at Oklahoma City, and we want to be more and more aggressive in that space. And so, like to Kathy's point about Sky Dweller and that extra incentive, we also want to use that as a way to continue to diversify our market and have more different types of sectors present in Oklahoma City, and not just rely on the traditional sectors we've had here. You know, be creative in the ways we recruit those companies to Oklahoma City proper.
Thank you for that. I too have been growing concerned about office space, vacancy, the vibrancy of downtown, the years worth of effort that the city has put through that's really reaped great rewards. But now that the economy is essentially reacting to remote work. So I appreciate those types of efforts, because if we can maybe fill the breach before it widens to the point where we're back to where we might have been 20 years ago, I just offer that as a thought of encouragement. Please continue to work in those directions. And I suspect Kathy's got a much better sense of the pulse of vacancies and whether rent's falling behind and what have you, just in the Class A, B, and C office space for us. But if we could be that place that attracts some more, just kind of enlarge that pipeline, we might be able to actually package some deals that are even sweeter than you might otherwise think. But just a few thoughts there. And thanks for the information.
And Mr. Chair, could I add to that? I saw a posting relative to the tech industry in San Francisco is basically falling apart because of the high rents and everything else, and they're realizing they don't have to be there in order to succeed. So that's prime opportunity, and you know, our rents are definitely much more attractive. So go for it, Jeff.
Thank you for that.
To that point, if you don't mind, both Rhonda and Jim, is we think this strategy long-term includes both businesses and people. There's both businesses and people facing these decisions, and we want to be aggressive on both sides of that equation. So thank you both.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other comments or questions from the trustees? If not, I'll take a motion to receive the report. And it is approved. You have in your material the general manager's reports for you to look at your leisure. That being said, any comments from staff?
I don't have any.
Hearing none. Thank you, Ms. Kathy, for your participation as usual. Any of the trustees have any insights or comments? Seeing none, have any citizens signed up to be heard? Hearing none. Thank you for your attentiveness, your interest, and thank you for the good reports by those giving reports. We are adjourned.
Thank you.